Hi everyone, good day. This is Jenevie Abella, a fourth-year student, Bachelor of Elementary Education, major in General Curriculum. I'm here to report my assigned topic for the subject of Ed 304, Speech and Oral Communication for Teachers. So in this topic, we are going to learn and discuss the tenets of communication and the maxims of communication. Whatever the setting, casual or formal, communication is really essential. We communicate informally with friends and occasionally relatives. This is the formal language we employ while exchanging ideas and voicing our thoughts in a professional capacity. So we really need to have tenets or beliefs even in the sphere of communication. Without them, communication would be difficult, if not impossible, or we would struggle to communicate with anyone. Okay, now let's define first the tenets of communication. So, tenets is a principle or belief honored by a person, or more often, a group of people. Tenet is any opinion, principle, doctrine, dogma, or etc., especially when held as true by members of a profession, group, or movement. So the tenet of communication is divided into two different perspectives. First, communication is dynamic. So it means to convey a thought or feeling to someone else. It is to how it is received depends on a set of an event that person is exposed to. It is how you say, what you say plays an important role in communication. And also, that person affects the other either directly or indirectly. Example is the news feeds, newsletters, email, microblogs or Twitter, blogs, social networks, chat and instant messaging application, the Skype and the Messenger. The second one is communication is unrepeatable and irreversible. So we cannot undo whatever message we convey to someone else, whether it is verbal communication or not. And communication is unrepeatable because we will never communicate in exactly the same way again. So that's it. Here are the following tenets of communication. So to be most effective, your communication must adhere to these 10 tenets. The 10 tenets of communication by Rich Magiani. So the first one is honest. Honesty builds rapport with the audience. The rock-to-bottom, most steadfast principle of any communication is honesty. Honesty builds rapport with your audience, and in this age of social media, a strong rapport is vital to success. So anything short of the truth can cause adverse consequences for both you and your audience. In extreme cases, not telling the entire truth can cause physical harm. Once your audience sees that you are shaving off parts of the truth, not telling the entire story, or worse, distorting the message with misinformation, then your communication is doomed. So misleading your audience can cause faulty decision-making, such as investing when divesting is more judicious. Dishonest information can easily result in litigation and costly settlements. These repercussions are some of the many reasons why you must maintain the highest level of integrity in all your communication. But there is a positive reason as well. Being honest is the right thing to do. The second one is clear. Clarity enables your audience to get your message as you intended. So clarity enables your audience to get your message as you intended, and isn't that the whole point? Instructions especially benefit from clarity. Who among us hasn't struggled through frustrating assembly instructions or less than accurate steps for using software features? And yet, it's this lack of clarity that increases traffic to a company's technical support lines with a corresponding increase in cost. So clarity is greatly enhanced when communication focuses on a single meaning and message. Clear communication means your audience doesn't have to guess or fill in the blanks or even ponder your meaning. Next is accurate. Accurate means get your facts straight. So get your facts straight. Even the slightest inaccuracy subjugates believability and can bring the contents of an entire document into question. Inaccuracies can annoy and perplex an audience, especially when they know otherwise, and keep your own biases at bay when citing facts remain objective. So accuracy is ethical. The next is comprehensive. Comprehensive means communication must provide all the necessary information in sufficient detail. So through communication, answers all questions, provides all the necessary information in sufficient detail, and enables your audience to assess and act with confidence. Oftentimes, being comprehensive means describing background information so that your audience has a foundation on which to consider the heart of your communication. Don't make assumptions about what an audience knows or about their background. An audience must be able to paint the entire picture of your message, and it's your job to give them the tools to paint the picture. A complete, self-contained explanation and discussion enables your audience to proceed safely, to be efficient with their time, and effective with their efforts. So the next one is accessible. Make use of different methods and channels to which your audience have access with. So there's just too much to read: emails, memos, reports, blogs, web, links, articles, magazines, and books. It can also be so overwhelming. With this plethora of information, readers skim, diving in only one deemed important, interesting, or useful. Few read sequentially from beginning to end. Besides, attention spans are short. Make the most of these methods by helping your reader easily access what you say in your writing. So that's it. The next one is concise. Write simply, convey a lot of information economically, excise unnecessary phrases, and then replace wordiness with short words, and then eliminate tangential information, then use simple grammatical forms. So to help a reader select your document to read, it must be concise and to the point. Tell people up front what they are about to read and how they can benefit. So for example, this position paper adheres to this tenet in its two-line heading. So that's it. So next is correct. A correct document complies with the basic rules of writing. So a correct document complies with the basic rules of writing, which are the grammar, punctuation, mechanics, spelling, word order and usage, and also the sentence structure. So in the incorrect writing slows readers and confuses them. So it should have the correct documents such as the grammar, punctuation, mechanics, spelling, word order and usage, and the sentence structures in order to not to confuse the reader. So the next one is timely. Your reader must be able to understand and act as quickly as possible on the information. So the reader must be able to understand as quickly as possible on the information by your style, organization, and your visual design, and all it will help towards this goal. So So that is timely. And then let's have the well-designed. So professional looking, well-designed documents engender positive impressions and get noticed. So how a document looks speaks loudly about its acceptance because even before a word is read, you are communicating. Professional looking, well-designed documents engender positive impressions and get noticed. So you have to choose fonts wisely as they evoke different reactions. Just because you can drop shadow or outline text, don't do it. And keep to just a few fonts to avoid that busy look. While you want to impress with your document design, keep within acceptable standards. So that is well designed. So the last one is builds goodwill. So this strive to create a positive reaction. Make that personal connection with your words. We have all with words that touch us or that repulse us. In business writing, strive to create a positive reaction. To carefully consider those who comprise your audience, then speak to those people when you write. Make that personal connection with your words and you build goodwill, not only for yourself, but for your organization and profession. Exactly our goal when we write these positions papers for you to read. So now let's have the importance of tenets of communication. So the 10 tenets, taken together and diligently applied, these 10 tenets ultimately demonstrate respect for your audience. By employing these 10 tenets in all your writing, you can create positive relationships, ones that can endure. So through the principles of communication, the individuals are able to generate information in terms of ways that are necessary to put into operation the communication processes in a worthwhile and efficacious manner. And now let's proceed to Greece's Maxims of Conversation or Greece's Maxims of Communication. Accordingly, the cooperative principle is divided into Greece's 4 maxims of conversation called the Grecian maxims: quantity, quality, relation, and manner. These 4 maxims describe specific rational principles observed by people who follow the cooperative principle in pursuit of effective communication. Applying the Grecian maxim is a way to explain the link between utterances and what is understood from them. So this is the cooperative principles, the maxims of conversations. Name of maxim. These are the quantity, relevance, manner, and quality. Then the description of maxim. So let's define the quantity. So the quantity, say neither more nor less than the discourse requires. Then the relevance, be relevant. And then the manner, be brief and orderly, avoid ambiguity and obscurity. And in equality, do not lie, do not make unsupported claims. So let's deeper the cooperative principles of maxims of conversation. So let's have the maxims of quantity. Be informative. When following the maxim of quantity, it is important to not withhold information during communication that would be necessary to keep the conversation going. However, it is also important not to bombard our listeners with too much irrelevant information. When abiding by this maxim during communication, you should make your contribution as informative as is required. So provide all the information which is necessary for the purpose of the current exchange. Don't leave out anything important. And then, do not make your contribution more informative than is required. Leave out any unnecessary details that aren't important to the current exchange. For example, based on the maxims of quantity. So, A, what should I do to get rid of this headache, doctor? So the doctor said, take some medicine. So the violated maxim is that the quantity. Why? B has not provided enough information. So as you can see, the patient, or we can consider the A the patient, and then what should I do? Then what should I do to get rid of this headache, doctor? Then the doctor said, take some medicine. So he has not provided enough information for his or her patient. So the importance of this maxim, if you are assisting, example, if you are assisting me to mend a car, I expect your contribution to be neither more nor less than is required. If, for example, at a particular stage I need 4 screws, I expect you to hand me 4 rather than 2 or 6. Right? So that's it. So now let's have the maxims of quality. Be truthful. Abiding by the maxim of quality means not telling a lie on purpose. When following this maxim during communication, you should first try to make your contribution one that is true, and then do not say what you believe to be false. So when we say that, avoid stating information that you believe might be wrong, unless there is some compelling reason to do so. If you do choose to include it, then provide a disclaimer that points your doubts regarding this information. And then, do not say that for which you lack evidence. Avoid including information that you can't back up with supporting evidence. And then, if you do choose to include such information for some reason, then you have to provide a disclaimer that points out your doubts. So, here is, for example, based on the maxims of quality. So, I'm a multi-millionaire, so actually I'm penniless. So the violated maxim is the quality. Then the explanation why the speaker has failed to tell the truth, because he or she is actually a penniless, not a multi-millionaire. So the importance of this maxim, I expect your contributions to be genuine and not spurious. If I need sugar as an ingredient in the cake you're assisting me to make, then I do not expect you to hand me salt. If I need a spoon, I do not expect a trick spoon made of rubber. So that's it for the maxims of quality. You should be truthful. So now let's have the maxim of relation. Be relevant. Following the maxim of relevance keeps conversations on track and helps prevent random conversations that lack continuity. This maxim also helps us to understand occurrences in conversations that may not be initially obvious. When abiding by this maxim, you should be relevant. Make sure that all the information you provide is relevant to the current exchange. Omit relevant information. For example, based on the maxim of relevance, so we have to consider the A set A. When I'm going to get back the money I lent you, so when I'm going to get back the money I lent you, so then the set B says, boy, it's hot in here. So the violated maxim is the relevance. Why is it the relevance? Because this answer is not related to A's questions. As you can see, the B's answer is not related to A's question, because A question is that when am I going to get back the money I lent you? Then the set B said, boy, it's hot in here. So very irrelated to the information, to the from the set A. So its violated maxim is the relevance. It is irrelevant information. So always remember that only say things that are relevant to the conversation. So the importance of this maxim, I expect a partner's contribution to be appropriate to the immediate needs at each stage of the transaction. If I'm mixing ingredients for a cake, I do not expect to be handed a good book or even an oven cloth Through this might be an appropriate contribution at a later stage. So the next one is maxims of manner. Be clear. The maxim of manner mainly refers to the choice of words you use. For example, when following this maxim, we should avoid using big or overly complex words that we know our listeners won't understand and should try our best to be concise and coherent. When abiding by the maxim of manner, you should be perspicuous, clear, and then avoid obscurity of expression. So it's avoid language which is difficult to understand, such as because it contains words that the listener doesn't know. And then avoid ambiguity. Avoid ambiguous language which can be interpreted in multiple ways and which therefore makes it difficult for your recipient to understand what is exactly you're trying to say. And then be brief. Provide information in a concise manner that allows your recipient to focus on the key data. And then be orderly. Provide information in an order that makes sense and makes it easy for your recipients to process it. So, example, I'm writing an essay on metonymy. It's a type of figure of speech. So here the speaker knew that it was possible that the listener wouldn't know the term metonymy and decided to give a quick explanation. So that's it. So let's have the summary, the conclusion. So the Greece's maxims of conversation are a set of observations that describe how people communicate when they want to be properly understood by others. You can use these maxims as guiding principles to make your communication as effective as possible. The first maxim is be informative. So, include as much information as is necessary for the purpose of the current exchange and no more than that. And the second maxim is be truthful. Include only information that you believe is true and that can be backed up with evidence. If you choose to include information that you're unsure about, provide an appropriate disclaimer regarding your uncertainty. And the third maxim is be relevant. Include only information that is relevant to the current exchange. The fourth maxim is be clear. Avoid difficult to understand or ambiguous language and just present information in a concise and well-ordered way that makes it easy for your listeners to figure out what you're trying to say. So that's it, and I think that's all for my report today, and thank you everyone. God bless.